Hi PV students, this is Mr. Burke coming to you. Today I'm going to go through adult, child, and infant CPR. Now, the demonstration today will be child CPR. I'll go through a differences video shortly after this video explaining some of the differences. Okay. Last week's video, you dealt with an unconscious victim. So for this scenario, you will start with an unconscious victim. As you approach, all right, and this is not one of your steps that you have to fill out this week, but as you approach, you always want to check the scene. You don't want to be a victim yourself, okay? And you want to check the victim, all right? In this situation, and again, these are not steps on your CPR sheet, but this is what you need to do. You come up, hey, are you okay? Now it's a child victim, so you want to look and see if any of the parents are nearby and get consent. With no parents nearby, consent's implied, all right? So again, hey, are you okay? No response, I would call 911, kind of fill them in at that point in time. I want to get as close to their airway as possible, looking towards the back to see if the back rises with breathing. I don't hear anything, feel anything, see anything. Okay, and again, these aren't part of your steps yet. I'll tell you when you're going to start writing things down. Now at this point, I want to support the head, neck, and region, and the other hand goes on the side, and I roll the victim towards me. Okay, again, supporting everything. All right, now, since I already checked, I already look, listen, and feel. All right, you get right into CPR. And this is where you're going to start writing things down. So for a child victim, you would start right away with compressions. And on your step one, it talks about hand position. You want to go in the center of the chest, over the breastbone with your hands, making sure your shoulders are over your hands. Okay. Now step two is compressions. For a child, I want to go about 2 inches at a rate of about 100 compressions for every 2 minutes, and it would just simply be a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, and I'm going to do 30 of those compressions, okay? And that's what it says in step 2, about 2 inches, 30 compressions. After that, step 3, it talks about rescue breaths. I want a head tilt, chin lift, and I would pinch the nose in a child, and I would give 2 breaths. Okay, after the breaths, I would come right back and that's 1 cycle, okay? Now in step 4, it talks about how many cycles. You would do actually 4 of those cycles of 30 compressions to 2 rescue breaths. I'm not gonna go through all that, but in a live scenario, again, you would start with compressions, 30 compressions, 2 rescue breaths. You would do 4 of those, all right? After those 4 cycles, now we have to look, listen, and feel. Okay, towards the chest to see if it's rising. You want to take the pulse in the carotid artery, all right? And this is step number 5. Now, step number 5 says if there's no pulse, I would continue CPR starting 30 compressions to 2 rescue breaths. However, there are 4 things that I want you to know that you would stop doing CPR, all right? If the victim shows signs of life, there's movement, there's breathing, things like that, all right? If an AED becomes available, and that'll be a lesson that we talk about, that's an automatic external defibrillator, okay? Another thing is the scene becomes unsafe, all right? For you want to move the victim, you might have to stop there. And the final thing, if the EMTs arrive, which hopefully they do, your job is to keep the blood circulation going, okay? So those 4 things would be something that you would stop CPR. If they show signs of life, the scene becomes unsafe, an AED becomes available, or the 4th one that I want you to write down is EMTs show up, okay? Step 7, if you go and they have a pulse and they are breathing, all right, in a child scenario, you're gonna put, again, supporting the head and neck, you're gonna roll the victim away from you, okay? And put them in the recovery position, all right? And that's what you would do if they have a pulse, okay? Now I'm gonna go over some differences in another short video between the adult, child, and infant CPR.